Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 29th day of Saratoga. 11 days left, I believe, after today.
Exactly.
Maggie Wolfendale, Andy Serling, Saratoga, by the way, Talking Horses, brought to you by Saratoga Spring Water. Happy to be here on a glorious day.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
We deserve this, to say the least.
Yeah, and you guys all deserve it, too.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. The crowds that come out, it's amazing. They're not the ones that seem to be bothered by the weather. The people on the internet are bothered by the weather, but the people that come out...
But they're in their homes.
Right.
In
the
their
people that come
likely.
out seem like, I mean, I'm sure they'd rather have a day like today. Who wouldn't? But it seems like, I'll say one thing about Saratoga. It's hard to be unhappy in Saratoga because everybody is so happy to be here.
Yeah. I mean, the weather... It was fine yesterday. It was a little
chilly.
Crisp and not very sunny, but it was packed here for Alabama Day, which we saw a pretty sensational performance.
Yeah, we were talking about it before going on the air, and was talking about how one of the issues with feeling of the distance was she's a very tiny horse, and Maggie said, would you say that you look at those horses from horses' perspective, who thinks they can get the distance? Well, that was out the window.
Yeah, and two, I mean, she's proven that when she gets to dictate a race, she's lethal. And it doesn't matter how far she's going. It's how she's going fast, to steal Richard Migliori's line. And she proved that she certainly belongs in this crew. It'd be interesting to see as she develops, because I feel like she is a relatively unraced horse at the moment, or inexperienced. And she's shown that she definitely prefers to have the lead. But I wonder if she does become more experienced and more seasoned, that maybe she can adapt if they would go after maybe in her next.
No, I agree. It's I mean, obviously, trainers always think their horses can rate. And Chad believes that she'll be able to rate. I think she doesn't want to get caught behind horses like she did in the Acorn.
Right.
And while it didn't work out in the Acorn, it's a learning experience. And at least if you use a race that's a bad race as a learning experience, that's good. But, you look at some of the races going forward. What do you do with her going forward? Would you go to the cotillion? Do you think about turning her back? Well, if you turn her back, I think the older fillies and mares sprinting may be a hornet's nest, especially with Echo Zulu, given her race the other day. And she'll be running the ballerina this weekend. It's hard to really tackle that group. So what do you think? Are you thinking about a race like La Brea, the grade one out in California? Will she be confident? Are you looking at the race next year? But regardless, a lightly raced horse, she could have a big future ahead of her.
No, and it does feel like, as far as the 3-year-old fillies, she's really kind of put herself up there now with Pretty Mischievous, because, where does Pretty Mischievous go now?
I think she's going to the cotillion.
She's going to the cotillion, okay. And, I mean, Wet Paint hasn't necessarily disgraced herself either.
No. Now, Wet Paint can look at a race like the Spinster. Now, it depends who goes to the Spinster. Does Nest go to the Spinster? Will Clairiere not have a race between now and the breed? It's all those things are up in the air. And the 3-year-old fillies, randomized, who got a 98 buyer, and the track was very kind inside speed, to be fair, yesterday. Though she drifted in the stretch, and actually Wet Paint was on the rail, which is a very good place to be. They're going to have to get faster, those horses. I mean, randomized on any figures you look at is clearly the fastest of this 3-year-old filly group.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Interesting race, a fun race yesterday, a good day, and we're looking forward to today's card as well. We're fast and good. We're off the turf in race number 9. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code SPA200, and we will match with $200 of your initial deposit. What kind of goodies do we have in store today? Middle pick 4. 2, 4, and 7 with the pick 4s on today's 10-race card. Drum roll, please. Cross-country pick 5 involving Woodbine races. All these races will be shown on Saratoga Live. We also have the $1 million guarantee or bonus if you play the late pick 5, and you should play the late pick 5 Saturdays and Sundays through Naira Bets. And if you are the only winner, one winning ticket, you play through Naira Bets, you get an extra $1 million. Somebody was alive for it once, so I suppose that theoretically it can happen. We have the low rollers contest. You go over the Miller Time 4-star Dave Sports Bar. Go see Ray and Jay. $40 buy-in, $30 bankroll, plus a $10 prize pool. Lots of fun. Head on over there Thursday and Sunday. Gotten very, very popular. And we have the Taste of New York Pavilion every Thursday through Sunday over by the Gate A Berkshire Family Zone. And speaking of Berkshire Family Zone, we also have Family Fun Day over by the Berkshire Family Sundays, 11 to 4. Lots of fun over by Gate A. And last but not least, 1 to 6:30 on FS2 all day long, covering our action. Plus races up at Woodbine is now the King's Plate. What are the chances, if I was in that show, that I wouldn't refer to it as the King's Plate, Queen's Plate, at least 70% of the time?
Thank goodness you and I, neither of us are on there.
To me,
I would have said
always...
Queen's Plate. Queen's Plate.
It'll always be the Queen's Play to me.
I know.
Always.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
I'm not willing to accept the change. Anyway, big fans of the Monarch that we are. Well, Queen Elizabeth loved the races,
I
so
have to
that's
be,
why
Andy.
we liked her. Really, you don't have to be. There's some English that aren't fans, but Tom is a fan.
He is a royalist.
Wait a second. Let me just say something.
Royalist.
You have to be? You're ready to take Tom on anything. Who are you kidding over there? I'm surprised you haven't adopted an anti-royal just to annoy him.
No, you know who annoys him most is Grace, because she'll say something incorrect, and she goes, "What language do you speak, Grace?" She goes, "American."
Well, she probably wants to listen to her father, not her mother, on some use of the language. We're gonna have a book coming out of Maggieisms. That's gonna be a big project, I think, this winter. Race number 1 on the turf. I got L.A. Fort, and I like this one because I can pronounce Fort correctly with her name. I show her race. I think it's a couple races back at Churchill. She's got to be better going shorter, or she's got to be effective going shorter. And doesn't her one win in 16 starts in 7 seconds worry you, Mag?
Yeah, but this is a much
She's the best horse in this race.
And I think she had an excuse in the July 26th race. This is her finishing second back at Churchill Downs, 2 back. She was 3 wide in the first 2 turns, going the mile in 3/8. Then she kind of made a middle move down the backside, and the winner of that race just kind of set the perfect trip. Yeah, do you worry? I kind of worry a little bit more about maybe the cutback.
I worry about the cutback. I worry about the cutback the most. Yeah.
Right. Will she be handy enough to fire at a mile and a 16th? But I just thought she was the pure class of this field.
Well,
I really, I looked other places. I couldn't get too excited about anybody else.
I think your second horse from Hello, I consider putting on top as a very interesting alternative.
She's
because
definitely the other
she
horse.
caused the problems last time, but nonetheless, she bore out badly on the first turn.
Right.
And
It was because she was ranked, too, and she kind of went to clip heels, and then she took them
inside in
out.
that turn. You get a little rank going that first turn. The inner at a mile, it's problematic. And the time before that, I'm not exactly sure why she ended up almost last, or actually last in 11 horse field.
Total merry-go-round race,
I thought she ran very well the time before that, because that pace, I know it looks slow, but that pace really fell apart in there. And actually, she ran pretty well 3 back.
3 back, and I mean, even her race
4
the
back.
first time on the turf. So those 2 races there make her a very viable alternative to the favorite because she has excuses. Now, you like a horse that I love her getting back to the turf, but to go in a mile and a 16th off of a layoff concerns me, because I thought she was much more of a sprinting type.
Well, except her mile race belies that. That's the thing, Mag, because she was 4 to 5 wide around the racetrack, and that was with the rails down when the rail was really, really strong. And while I sort of believe that when I first looked at her, I said, oh, why is Pat running her long off the layoff? Maybe he's just getting a race into her. This race came up, and he'll cut her back. And then I thought, wait a minute. I forgot about that second start where she ran really well. So I remember that David liked her that day, and I thought he was nuts, and she didn't finish well, but I remember thinking after the race, he wasn't nuts. She just got a completely ridiculous trip that day. I agree with you. I almost went 4-9, and the 4 is a big price as well. But I thought, you know what? She's going to be a decent price. I agree. It's a tough ask off the layoff, but you know what? She ran really well that day. It's kind of buried, so I took her on top. I'm kind of 9s and 4s here at prices.
And she could work out to be the speed in here. We'll see, what a horse like Fast Kimmy does as well. And but she could be the speed, which should aid her chances. She'll just have to do it from a farther outside post.
I agree. Listen, she's got a real run at the first turn, so it's not that big a deal. But still, I don't disagree. It's a big ask off the layoff. Race number 2, we lost the number 3 Liberty Flame, and let's talk about Alpine Queen first. Do we have second? Going back, is it sort of like this is the race of the go-backs, right?
Yeah.
Because there's really nobody here who's coming in off good races.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, who do I distrust the least? And I think Alpine Queen is very dangerous, getting Luis Saez. She was obviously good when she was good. But I also thought she'd be a little outrun here. And I just thought, like you, Sue Ellen Michigan, I love the cut back at her as well as the drop down.
She easily got to the lead last time in her first start here against tougher. I mean, Masienko she just shows up nearly every time.
She's in a different
Exactly.
galaxy
And
to her.
two, you kind of look at some of these horses in here, and a lot of them have a lot more starts than wins. And you go and you look at Sue Ellen Michigan. She's 6 for 14. She knows how to get the job done. And then she took pressure the whole way, going the 7 furlongs, and eventually just packed it in. But I've always kind of been a fan of her, and this is just the weakest field that she's ever faced in her career. And it feels like, Matt Shire has yet to win a race up here. He has a few horses stabled, but I remember last year, him being aggressive with his horses and it paying off.
Yeah, no, he's a very good trainer, by the way. He's one of these under the radar trainers.
Yeah,
a lot of people
I think he
here
does
are
a great
probably
job.
not familiar with him, but a very sharp trainer. I agree with you, and I'm bullish on her. You and I basically saw this race the same way. I think we've seen
Don't you think Alpine Queen's a little bit strange in that she never breaks that well, and then suddenly they decide to make these kind of middle moves with her, always.
Yeah, that's an
And
interesting
maybe
point.
it's an apprentice thing because she has had an apprentice on her, since John Toscano claimed her, and now she gets Louis Saez, so maybe he will be more aggressive and put her in the game earlier than what she's been.
Yeah, I think he'll try to. She's not as
Yeah.
fast as Sue Ellen Michigan. So
Exactly.
Sue Ellen Michigan's got a real advantage. I mean, at some point they can try to put him in the games, but at some point you either take your horse out of its element or you start playing another horse's game. But I agree with Louis; she should be aggressively ridden. Race number 3, I was going to take a shot with Toned Up in here. I agonized over this race for a long time.
Well, she simplified it for
and
you.
finally convinced myself to pick her, only to see her scratch this morning. But I think that pace is a very important factor in this race as we show Cafe Fleur and Tass and Strong Odor, and then we'll quickly, or as quickly as the people in the truck can, and we appreciate it, show the Aziza Tass race. Cafe Fleur, by the way, what a ride she got from Irad. I was telling Irad yesterday, I said that a lot of times riders, especially good riders, don't get the credit for the great rides they give on horses that lose. You know what I mean? But isn't
Exactly.
she completely pace compromised where the 1, 2, and 3, her real main threats in here, just all are so much more forward than she is?
That's what I mean. She's always pace compromised.
Right.
That's why I
And now
always
it's
have
worse.
trouble picking her consistently. It's just I'm never going to gravitate to a horse that is completely devoid of any early speed. So I respect her. Obviously, you have to with the connections, but I just, like you, thought that you wanted more forward horses in here. As we'll take a look back at Aziza winning against Tass because she has that early foot.
And because Flavien Prat, as much as any rider, is ready to take advantage. I think the bees are coming towards your yellow outfit here. They resent you. They think you're a big bumblebee or something over there.
I am not your mother.
And that's one of the many skills that Flavien had. Flavien finished second in the charity harness race last night.
Yeah, that was great. Did you go over?
I did not.
No, I did not either. I was just
I
ready
was
to go home and
busy
eat,
working
but-
on Thursday's card because
Yeah.
I have a thrilling, exciting life.
But I just got to take my hat off to him.
That was great,
Yeah. And he said to me after I interviewed him after winning the Lake Placid, he said, I'm actually more nervous about that.
I
than
talked to him.
anything.
I talked to him later. It was funny talking. Yeah, you could see, but he's got a huge background in harness race. Get out of here. Go away. Go over to the front set. That's where all your friends
Grandpa
are.
Andy.
There's like 1,000 bees over there.
Of course, I bring a drink over.
So I changed it. I had the one a little lower, but I think with Charged Nurse coming out, another speed came out. And Tass, I hope that they don't get away from at least being forward with her today.
Well-
Last time she was in that race, it was a race that you didn't want to be forward. The race completely collapsed. And I thought she ran
Exactly.
extremely well
She
given the
did.
dynamics. But is she going to get fasted by Aziza? I think maybe she lost to her two-back because they were overly unaggressive. And I'm hoping here they can sort of stalk.
I agree with you. I think she's kind of been up again. They've gone to the wrong tactics for how each race, played out. Hindsight's 2020. My thing with her is that I looked at Rob Atches's numbers first after the claim on the turf.
They're
He's only
terrible.
4 for 33.
He's also 1 for 16 with routes. So he's
Exactly.
actually 3 for 17 with sprinters and 1
Yeah.
for 16. I agree. That's a little problematic.
That's why I
though.
put the one on top.
Okay.
At the end of the
Yeah,
day.
I'm a bit of a coin flip between the two of them.
Yeah.
Race number 4, the Bolton Landing. This one, of course, drew the ones that get rained off drew full fields. The ones that stay on
course.
get scratched down to 5 in here. So let's talk about the Colleen, where amidst the waves won, wiring the field. Don't you feel a little bit like when you go over to Monmouth sometimes it's a mixed bag of what kind of rides you get?
Oh, totally.
this is a horse that Jose Ortiz has to be much more aggressive than the prior rider was. I mean, he was wide and got completely shuffled out of the race with a wide trip. It was a crazy trip that She's Fire got, right?
Yeah, it is. And then she kind of re-rallies herself.
Right.
Look, she's going to come back on again. It was like she was forward, and then suddenly around the turn, she just completely gets shuffled back, and there was just a complete lack of aggression with a filly that has obviously shown that she can be superior on the turf. Now, I do question the field that she beat when breaking her maiden on the turf.
No star.
Exactly. Honestly, Andy, I could see many of these horses winning this race. Come on, man.
This is a very annoying bee. We want you to go away.
I know.
You're really
or
starting
else
to.
It might be the end for you.
Get out of here.
So
I
anyway.
speak fluent bee, by the way, in case people were wondering.
Evidently. I just feel like that's a really tough word for me to get out. Amidst waves.
Amidst waves. I'm thinking of the Pearl Jam song, Amongst the Waves.
Yeah.
Amidst waves. Who's the big surfer there, do you think? It's Randy Hill?
Oh, totally. Right? I don't know who
Jake
Blackridge
Bayless is Jake. Is that Jake's? Is Blackridge?
Blackridge?
No,
No.
it's somebody. He's got something else with black in it, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. But I just thought that, not that she is faster. I can't really. She's Fire's supposed to be faster.
She is faster, but it depends what kind of rides they get.
Right.
And Irad may be aggressive in
Maybe
here. She
more
was fast
aggressive.
last time, so I'm just gonna hope the 5 gets back to the kind of running style. But I'll tell you something. Graham is legitimately good, and
She overcame a lot. I could have had her higher. Like I said, these 4 I could have thrown up in many different ways and had them in different positions.
she should have
overcame
beaten
a
Todd first
lot.
time when she finished second her debut, and I didn't realize just how much trouble she had until watching this again. And everybody was okay there, so we're fine. But she broke really well last time, and she's just going to basically get completely sort of shuffled out of the race right around the quarter.
Joel tries to go for a spot here, and then he's going to get blocked or cut off here, and so then he has to grab her. He bounces off of her back. So now she's shuffled even further back going around the turn, and then she's going to get, half stopped again when she comes into the lane. So I think to overcome that much going 5.5 on the turf, you're good. And
I agree.
Look, the margin of victory was only 3/4 of a length. There's an argument it could have been 3 lengths in the end if she didn't have this much trouble.
I agree with you, and I think she's an underexposed horse for Christophe in that she's actually run really well in her turf races, and she just sort of looks ho-hum. And I know the trips are there, but unless you actually watch her races, and to have a 2-year-old this young that's consistently showing this ability to fight through trouble, that's a gigantic asset. Now, I'm not saying she's close to fast enough to be in the big 2-year-old sprints at the end of the year, but it would be interesting to see what she does. At some point, she's getting a clean trip. With 5 horses today may be the day. I thought about putting her on top. I'm kind of 5s to wire the field or Graham here, because she's good.
Well, I mean, then what do you do with a stone's throw away who did beat her first time out?
Yeah,
then
she was
they put her
lucky
in
to beat her, though.
I agree, but she's more she's faster.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. I think the connections were very smart to put her in the sale. Now, listen, Jordan Wyckoff-Water and Jordan is a super sharp guy, and they didn't pay that much for her, and she's a filly, and she probably has some residual value already.
And 2, Boston Stones aren't ever going to sell for that much.
Right. So I think they sort of took the money, and clearly they didn't get any offers. Maybe they thought they'd get offers, or they got nothing major, or the Busting Stones. And if Jordan's buying it, that's good enough for me. But still, she should never have beaten Graham the first time. For a trainer, and no disrespect to Todd, George, whose horses have been especially his 2-year-old turf sprinters, they've been unbelievable this year.
I thought it was interesting. Todd had opted to work her with Juniper Marshmallow, who is an older horse coming back on the turf.
Well, I should have had the try in the Lake Placid, because I had the 3rd horse thard there, or fourth. And I mentioned that horse had actually run very well in the the Wild Applause. She was the one who was closest to the pace that actually survived it.
Yeah.
She almost got second in there. She was a ridiculous price, almost 30 to 1.
But anyway, the other Todd that ran off the layoff.
I digress.
Juniper Marshmallow. Now, he opted to work her with her. She didn't work as well. Juniper Marshmallow obviously outfinished her by a long way. And then before that, on the dirt, he worked her with a first-time starting winner in Trust Fund on the dirt. I don't know. I don't know if there's just a lack of horses to work her with or whatever, but I thought it was interesting he paired her up with those two horses.
Could he also be wondering, as a Bustin' Stones, if she could be a dirt horse too?
Dirt, yeah.
You know, and I imagine
not.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Interesting running of the Bolton Landing, which of course is up in Lake George. The 2-year-old. The dirt race for the fillies, and interesting to see what we see. At some point, we're gonna see some good 2-year-olds, and we do have some that went for a lot of money. And we'll start with the workout for Money Rocket that we have on top, $1 million, 20 4/5.
This is the most extraordinary sales workout we've seen, isn't it?
If I throw a pen at John, do you think he'll stop talking?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so she's not asked for much, right? And then she kind of switches lead and she starts to lug in a bit. So the rider is literally swinging off the back of her. Like,
he couldn't even
pulling
ride her. She went 20 4/5. He couldn't even ride her.
I mean, this is an extraordinary breeze.
So
He's
it's a half.
pulling her up.
This is how was half like Compliant, who ran on the turf for Chad Brown and one bad horse. But I mean, that's a lot of money, $1 million. But I'm not picking against this horse.
Same. And then watching her last breeze, which was 48-3 over the Oklahoma. She was with Hunt Ball, who Cody Wish's younger brother,
ran
who
very
ran
well
really
yesterday.
well,
Yep.
finishing second.
Yep, very well. That race got a 79 buyer, by the way.
He did gallop out a little bit better than her, but she feels like one that's going to be quick. And she looked massive, too. Not that he was an overwhelmingly big horse when he showed up in the paddock here, but she looked a full hand bigger than him, which I think is telling for a 2-year-old filly.
Yeah, no, I'm going to expect her to be the goods. What about the one Catherine Wheel? We both have her second as well. We'll show her workout.
Yeah, she goes 9-4 here. Now, she's asked a little bit more than, obviously, the one we just saw, but she does cover the ground really well, and she has a nice fluid stride, just really extends herself well. So I like the workout. Now, watching some of her workouts on XBTV, she was inside of an unraced mate, 2 back, always going better until the gallop out. It was kind of, you know, the theme of watching at least the breezes you can watch there is that she doesn't necessarily gallop out that well. So another one that might be quick. She's going to have to be from the inside. We'll see how she sticks around in the end.
Yeah, you've got a Godolphin runner for Mod as well in here that Jose Lescano is on, the 3. I had the 9 in there. Maybe Chad Brown just got this one wrong because I thought this horse worked well in the 2-year-old sale. He ran this horse on the turf. She's not a turf horse, but maybe she's a dirt horse.
I thought she looked in the paddock.
Turfy.
Total turf sprinter. But
the
look,
10 you have third has pedigree.
Chad and I have gotten things wrong lately. No, not him, but me.
We all get a lot of things wrong. Every one of us.
So
Crazy.
do you ever check out the sales workouts from Fasig Tipton?
I do occasionally, but not that often.
This one was insane.
Oh.
She worked 10 flat. I haven't seen a 10 flat work at Timonium.
At Timonium, that's rare, yeah.
She wasn't asked for it much at all, and she just looks rapid. Like, her legs were going so fast, and there's a pedigree with her, too. I mean, she's a foal to Take Charge Paula, who won her first 2 starts, and a multiple stakes winning dirt sprinter. So I thought, I mean, yes, Ramo Quet isn't necessarily known for his 2-year-old debuters, so I have her third, but I think she could be quite quick.
All right, we'll see what happens in race 5. We'll be back with the late pick 5.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Presented by Saratoga Water, Maggie Wolfendale,
I'm
Andy
hiding my
Serling.
other water.
What's that? Maggie doesn't have one.
Sorry.
You should be. You should be very sorry.
I am. I love Saratoga water.
So do I.
I really do.
I love the blue bottles.
They're gorgeous.
I have so many in my apartment. My apartment is a sea of blue bottles. Race number 6 on the turf.
You can make a chandelier with them.
Knock a chandelier down. So there is one of the craziest replays you'll ever see watching Memorialize.
I
mean,
know.
this, you can't even see it that well. We couldn't get
I
the
thought
head on,
look,
unfortunately.
I was like, what is Jason talking about? Victory Badge is the one that's last. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Victory Badge breaks a
When I
little
first
slowly,
watched
too.
it.
Victory Badge.
Whoops.
I mean, this horse wheeled to start. The jockey fell off out of the iron. She was so far back, it was ridiculous. She's still going to end up finishing second in this race. The problem is Grand Motion just doesn't have good numbers stretching out. It doesn't feel like it was a particularly tough field.
Now, Zoli did come back and win yesterday, but it was just an allowance race, so I don't know what the buyer was because she just won yesterday.
She should have won this race by 6 lengths.
Yeah, she got away.
I mean, she would have run a buyer of about 70 if she had broken.
Yeah.
Do you trust her stretching out? That's the problem I have. I'm going to use her, but I don't trust her.
Agreed. Dam, I think, was better sprinting.
Yep.
And I respect, but I'm not enthralled in taking
was a
her.
crazy-
I'm a little married to Lamorna in here.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, and we're going to show the beginning of Lamorna's race in the last 5/16ths. She ran extremely well here, Maggie.
In what is a better field.
I agree.
I think we can confirm that.
I agree. She blows the brake.
She blows the brake. And then, like, Louis was very non-Louis. There was no intention to get her any more forward. It was kind of like they knew that she'd want to go further than this. And he just kind of, all right, get your feet underneath of you. And then he's going to commence this 4
Insane
to 7 wide run around the turn.
Not a move that works a lot,
No.
in case you're wondering.
I'm
Don't try
watching
it
this,
at
I'm
home.
going, what are you doing?
I mean, here she comes. This race was won by the Alex Bregman horse that was a heavy favorite that had experience. And the thing is, you make that kind of run, it's a momentum killer. She got left. She made this big run. She made that, and she just kept on running. I agree. I don't know. Mott's numbers stretching out aren't very good in the turf either, but man, this filly ran.
I have love for her. She's out of one of my favorite mares that we had, Freudian, and she furthermore looked as though she wanted to go further. So she's one that I just liked first time out, that I'm going to give her another shot.
Yeah, I agreed looking at the 2 trips. And listen, there's no denying that Memorialize ran a remarkably good race. But I like you at the 8, and you have my horse second.
I like Boku too. I really do.
This one is just so turf met, and I know that
And
Phil
then she's
left
run
her in.
well,
But
enough on the dirt too.
yeah, no, I think she's dangerous. What about Tony Dutro's horse? You left out. The Buco's got the right pedigree for me. There's a ton of turf pedigree. The second generation. The Dam was a nice turf horse. What about the?
Big pedigree.
Well, Causeway Jewel's a full to Emmanuel.
Yeah.
So she's dirtied up by the terrible dirt race, so she won't get bet off that, right?
Totally. And, I thought with the stretch outs that there might be a little bit more speed to keep her company or to maybe put her in an uncomfortable position. I don't know. Maybe they just sent her last time because it was dirt and that was, they thought that was their best shot to win here. But look, am I going to be surprised when she wins? No. I mean, but
you've got Snow Dance in there, and
I had to.
Kevin
She's
Rice horses
another
all
one.
run. She ran well last time.
She really did. I mean, the horses that beat her came from well back. She broke well. She tracked outside, so she was kind of losing ground most of the way. And she ran on very gamely, just to be, like I said, outfinished by a really well-backed Chad Brown firster and hard to justify.
Who had trouble and still won.
Who did have trouble and still won. And, I think she's a very nice horse. So
this feels like a potentially tough race, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've completely left out 2 Chad Brown first-time starters.
But they have no pedigree. That was my problem.
See if that matters, but I agree they don't have any pedigree at all.
I mean, look, they can win. I'm not going to be surprised.
I don't know anything about them, so.
To sit up here and say, well, I like this horse.
I'd rather take these horses with pedigrees and
I mean?
trips. I'm with you. I agree. I'm not going to guess with them. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Race number 7. This is an interesting race. Now, I do think you have to note that we had a track that was very kind to speed yesterday. So Sundays with Sandy's got the big fig coming into this race, and we'll show her last race. And you and I have both left her out, and yet based on figs, she's like the horse to beat in here. So
it's a
he, excuse me. Why? And I know that. Why are you leaving him out? Because I don't really like him in here either. I think this is just a much tougher, more competitive field.
Exactly. Look, Prince of Pharaohs, he wasn't bet that day, was he? It was like they knew he wasn't.
Yes.
I can't remember. I can't remember who's favored here.
It's a lot of races in our brains, Maggie, flying around in there.
And Prince of Pharaohs, I think, was like avoided claim.
He was avoided
just
claims. He's back in
stopped.
on Wednesday in a very complicated race on Wednesday.
Right. So I think there were horses in there that also didn't necessarily run their race, and he got the run of the race.
It was a four-horse field.
Exactly.
But he did run fast.
So, but look, we're talking about Rick Dutcher horse. What are they doing with Fenwick? I mean, they bring him back off of a layoff and run him 6 furlongs when his best race is going 2-turn mile and 40 at Tampa.
But he's also
Don't you
slow.
think that was a... See, I have a little bit of a theory that I think the 6 furlongs was to sharpen him up a bit so that he does show that speed again.
Oh, I see. So he's going to be forward. Well, I mean, there's other
He
speeds.
could be.
Isn't this horse the horse you on top? Look at Bramido stretching out. I mean, this horse is supposed to be forward as well, don't you
He's
think?
supposed to be, and I think this is a really nice horse.
Okay.
I could be wrong. He's the least experienced. Yes,
I
he
just
was on
hate
the
second-time
inside.
starters off maiden wins and short prices. I hate them.
Yeah.
I
I just couldn't get excited about anybody else was my problem. And look, he spent a lot of time down on the rail, which is consistently, I think, where you want to be at Ellis that we've seen this year. And then he switched out until the stretch, and he kicked on.
Looks like a fun day down at Ellis, doesn't it,
Oh,
D-Patch?
so biz.
Yeah, it's like a
But
glorious day.
just watching this horse's breezes into this race now up here over the training track. Steve's kept him by himself. That usually speaks of a horse that is quite talented, that they don't want to do too much in the morning. And he just gobbles up the ground. He's just a horse that I like watching visually and the way that he moves. And I think there is some real ability here. But you face adversity, you face winners for the first time, and it can all go.
Yeah, it's
way.
a tough race. I mean, even like Set Sail, we both have second.
I want to give him another shot.
I want to give him one more chance too.
He was a mess. He was a mess again.
I remember you hated him last time because I liked him, and I remember you hated him.
He was washed out. He was just doing too much, and it just felt like he needed a race to knock off the ring rust, knock off that nervous energy, and because that's what he did when he ran at Belmont the first time in the Peter Pan, and then he came back and he got obviously Lasix, which helped again, and he ran really well behind Uncle Moonlight and against an older horse. So. Yeah, I want to give him another shot.
Reserve Currency, I bet him last time. I liked him. I remember I actually watched this race with Chad Brown. He thought he would run really well too, and he was awful, absolutely horrendous. But his prior races are all good. What worries me a little bit, obviously, is his relative lack of speed. But I thought this race might have enough pace for him to run. I bet him last time. He's going to be a much bigger price today, so I figured I'd give him one more chance because he had run too well in his prior races to just completely dismiss him of one effort. I'm giving him another chance. This is sort of like redemption for me. I'm going to use the 2 and 8. Two horses I liked in their prior starts, and I'm going to hope that both of them bounce back and maybe need his race last time off the 2+ month layoff. We'll see. I can't defend his last race.
My problem is the horses that have beaten him or that he's beaten.
That Celestial Moon race was a pretty good race,
Celestial
and he got
Moon.
lost
I like
in that
Majority
race.
Partner, and he did get lost. But, you go back and you look at when he lost to his stablemate, Systemic Change, who came back and was terrible in his next start, and he beat Centavo. I don't know.
Are you knocking Centavo?
I wouldn't be if this was a 16-claimer.
Moving on to today's 8th race. Excuse me. This is a tricky race, race number 8.
I think it's a fun race.
I do too, and you and I saw it very similarly.
Yeah.
As far as Magico, this was an extremely heavily touted first-time starter, and I know he went up the second choice to the eventual winner.
Until they
who's
went in the gate.
another Chad Brown horse.
He was favored.
This felt to me like a horse that just didn't know what he was doing. He didn't get out of the gate, and then he didn't seem to really handle the wet track as well as he probably could have. The winner ran off. The winner ran a decent third in a subsequent start in a tough allowance race, won by a Brad Cox horse here, and I'm hoping with more experience that he just comes popping out of the gate today and he does what we expect him to do first time out.
Yep, I can't argue that whatsoever. I watched his Breeze 2 back. He was with Khalik, who will be contending the King's Plate.
Is Khalik in the King's Plate?
Yeah.
Is King coming over? Don't you think he should come over for the inaugural King?
Anne.
Shouldn't he come over for the inaugural King's Plate? What else does
I don't know.
What else does he have to do?
I don't have tabs on the Royals.
Well, if not you, who?
Yes, I have no problems with Magico, but I just thought the sneaky horse was quality chic in
I
here.
agree with you 1,000%.
He's run well. He gets the turn back in distance today, and I don't know if that. I mean, what are they going to do with Silo Ridge? He's going to be fast. He's going to be keeping Magico company, I think, as well.
He's supposed to. We'll see. If Magico is fast coming out of the gate, I think he'll be in front of him. But I don't disagree. He could be in front of him or at least be outside of him. I agree with you, quality chic. Cutting back in distance, purchased the auction for David Jacobson and Larry Roman, has run fast races. Jacob Jacobson's horses have been running very well. This one feels well meant today. And this horse has worked very well, I believe.
Yeah. I like this horse.
Yeah, I think that horse is
I
good.
liked him at Oaklawn as well. And then, I mean, do you want to talk about the 2 first-time starters? What do you do with that? And then the Digitize coming back.
We'll talk about Digitize as well, but go ahead with the firsters. I don't want the McPeak one. That horse is a...
I mean, that horse is still technically 2.
Right. Oh.
To be fair.
Make a great point. Is actually physically 2. Born in October. Southern Hemisphere horse. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then Black Rain. This is a horse that I feel like they've tried to get ready multiple times and has had issues to hold him back. But you watch some of those workouts and he looks pretty nice. As he, the dam was all turf, but he's
well, no, it was after Ethereal Road.
Right.
Oh, the dam was turf, yes.
Yeah, and he's half to Ethereal Road, and
one of the most insane horses of racing sales purchases of all time when Turned Aside went for $725,000 in the Paul Pompa dispersal.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. But are you going to be surprised when he jumps up and runs well?
No, why did he go? I mean, no, but he only costs $32,000 a year. Listen, horses, he must. No, did he go? He went in the Pompa dispersal.
Yeah.
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 He went as a yearling in the Pompa dispersal, a newly turned yearling. I guess it was early, so he's almost still a weanling.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I wonder because he's got a lot of pedigree. Now, Turned Aside hadn't really done anything at that point.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, he had. No, he had. He was bought off that stake win in the Aqueduct, the infamous Aqueduct Turf Championship.
Sale.
Can we rename the Belmont Turf Sprint Championship the Saratoga or what is it? Aqueduct or Belmont at the Big A?
Aqueduct.
Belmont at the Big A Turf Sprint Championship.
Yeah. I think we should just find a nice turf sprinter to name.
Let's look at Digitize. I think I put up his first race. No, his last race when he finished third behind Nabokov and Cloud Forest. Nabokov turned out to be a nice horse. Cloud Forest, not really as much. I don't know, man.
Quality.
I don't trust this horse off a super long layoff. I hope he runs well, but I'm skeptical.
I don't as well. Chad has great numbers. I plugged in for an 8 to 18-month layoff in dirt sprints. He's 17 for 60. So, there's a guy to do it. It's going to be him.
Yeah, no, I won't be shocked. We'll see. I mean, he's not that slow, so he's not going to be way outrun, but he doesn't have the speed to keep up with these early. He's going to have to make a run. We'll see how he does. Race number 9, off the turf in race number 9. And I don't know about you. I was all gacked up to bet the 16 here. Is that a phrase? Isn't that a phrase? Like all excited? Isn't that? Is that a? Should I not have said that? Was that like a curse word? What?
Let's move on. Okay.
Is that a bad word? Should I not have said that? Caca, is that all right? What?
No comments.
Go ahead.
No, I can't say
Nobody
it.
else is laughing that hard. What?
No,
Was that a bad word, Johnny? Sorry. I apologize if it was.
If Tom's watching right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is a Tom funny word?
Okay, let's talk about the race.
Can we say it again?
No, please don't say it again. Okay, yes, I agree, too. I liked this. You were talking about the 16, right?
Yeah, because I don't trust Money Supply going a mile. Okay? I don't trust this horse getting a mile. I think this horse is like a 7-furlong horse.
They're so determined to run him at a mile, though.
Maybe they're only racing the
fastest race going 6.
I know. He's the
I've
fastest.
never
He's
gotten
better
this
shorter.
horse.
I don't want to. I've had this fight, and I'm not going to relive that experience.
Yeah, but he's getting huge class relief.
He is. It's really mostly the 12 and 13 here.
3 to 6 month layoff on the dirt, 11 for 30, with a positive ROI for Chad Brown.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
The 12 or
And the
13. I was more confident.
slow.
I know, but I was more confident. Todd has very good numbers. He's 17 for 41, first time for a tag on the dirt at Saratoga with a 311 ROI. He just seems to have a knack with these horses, even off layoffs. And I know he's slow, and I know Money Supply will be more forward than him. I'm not against the 12. I just prefer the 13 a little more at the distance. I wanted to bet the 16. So,
Yeah. No, I hear you. I like the 16 in here as well. The 8
You're
kind
back.
of the interesting. I know. The 8's kind of the interesting horse, I think, in here. Because I think he was against the racetrack in his 2 Ellis races coming in, and he might be a better turf horse. I don't know. I mean, his numbers are slightly better, but I thought he was just kind of the interesting other horse to use.
I agree. Yeah,
we saw this.
He's not impossible. Dropping a little bit. I was surprised the 3 came out. It's funny about Quality G. His only dirt race, he finished third to money.
He was avoided claim, though.
No, he finished third to Money Supply, though, in his debut.
Yeah, I know,
it's kind of funny.
right? And one of his fastest races.
Right.
He's a sketchy horse. So I
It's a
thought
sketchy
about
field.
He's terrible at the gate. He was a voided claim, and it was a vet voided claim last time out. So, yeah, he's not playing.
So I got into the last race, and I'm going to guess you are probably interested in the same 2 horses as me. And it was Mudville 9, who I bet last time and ran second. No excuse. Got a great ride by Trevor. Or my old friend Chalky Cat, who switched the Barker barn. And I just went to Chalky Cat because my love for Chalky Cat is no bounds. But Mudville 9 ran well last time.
Mudville 9 too. It wasn't
Less
significant.
distance might help. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, that. But he also he didn't necessarily flip over in the paddock, but when they were saddling, he kind of went up and kind of fell against the outside. And look, the vets were there. I was there. He looked totally fine afterwards. But I'm wondering if he just did a little too much pre-race. He was all fired up and kind of crazed. And I don't know, maybe he acts the same way again, but again, less distance is going to be favorable.
Yeah, if somebody wins besides the 2 on the outside, I mean, I've got the Maker Firster on the inside in there a little bit. I've got Sinombre, but I mean, Sinombre did feel a little bit, and I think you agree putting it like a horse just
super green.
Yeah, he was
super green throughout in
slow,
the paddock, on the track,
middle of the
running
racetrack.
race. Yeah. So I mean, if he can put it together, I think he might be okay in this spot.
I don't disagree, but like you, I think the winner is supposed to come, and the public will agree as well on one of the outside 2 runners. We'll see what happens. Maggie, a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
We'll do it again next Sunday.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. You need to go to Naira Bets. It's an order. Head on over. Use the promo code SPA200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. Go over to Naira Bets. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. We have 3 pick 4s. 2, 4, and 7 for the pick 4s today. We also have a cross-country pick 5 involving 3 races up in Woodbine, all stakes, including the King's Plate. That would be King's Plate, not King Plate, I assume.
Kings.
And 2 races here as well. They'll all be shown on Saratoga Live. I call it Belmont Live, and I call this one America's Day of the Races. It's a moron. We also have the bonus. You want to play that late pick 5 here. You want to play it through Naira Bets. You always want to play through Naira Bets, but you're also eligible if you should somehow be the only winning ticket and you play through Naira Bets, $1 million.
1 million.
That's an old. It's not an old.
It's Austin Powers, but
but billion.
James
but
Bond.
There was also a. Used to be a lottery commercial, I think, way back, probably before you were born in New York. My roommate used to.
I definitely wouldn't know.
My old roommate, a long time ago. This is a long time since I had a roommate. We have low rollers, $40 buy-in, $30 the bankroll, 10 in the prize pool. Head on over to the Miller Time 4-Star Dave Sports Bar. You can't miss Ray and Jay. You might miss Ray. You can't miss Jay. He's just unmissable in life. Head on over that Thursdays and Sundays. The Taste of New York Pavilion as well. Head on over to Gate A, the Berkshire Bank Family Zone, every Thursday through Sunday. You got to be 21 to purchase alcohol. Didn't back in my day. Family Sundays also.
Were you 18?
18. I was 19
When they
when I went to
change it?
went to 19 when I was 19. When 21 I was 21.
You lucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You might be surprised to hear growing up in Saratoga, I might have gone to some bars when I was under. I might have. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I have a vague recollection
There's a
of that
maybe
happening.
with me in that happening.
Yeah. Oh, not you. I can't imagine you in Maryland.
No,
when you
here.
weren't- Oh, here.
Came
Here?
up. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you underage when I hired you?
No.
We never checked your ID.
I was
Got that.
I was like 23, I think,
Yeah,
when you
that's
had
right.
24.
When did 2009? 10. 10.
Yep.
Man, together a long time. It's amazing we still like each other. I don't know how that's happened. And finally, last but not least, Sarah Live. See, do it again. 1 to 6:30 on FS2. Maggie and I will be on early, so you don't want to miss that.
This last week, I've called Greg Grace, Lafitte Greg, and the show America's Day at the Races.
Yeah, it's
That's when you know it's getting to the end.
there's just too many. We still got a lot of good racing to go, but there's just a lot floating around in all of our heads. Well, you got even with Greg. I mean, did he call? Who called you Acacia? Him or Lafitte? I can't remember. One of them called you, or one
No,
of
I
them.
think
Maybe they called
called
Acacia
Acacia
Maggie.
yeah.
One of them did. It's
okay.
hard. I don't even know my own name. Anyway, have a great day. Frank Miramati, who did a wonderful job filling in on Talking Horse the last couple of days, he will be up next with a reprise, The Scratch and Changes. We'll see you later.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.